Well, Christmas is over and done with, and you know what that means? A new year! And with a new year comes New Year's resolutions. But which New Year's resolution should you pick? And how do you stick to it throughout your new year and perhaps your whole life? I hope that sounds suitably dramatic because this video we're going to briefly go through the best New Year's resolutions to pick and how to stick with them. Let's get into it. So the first question, what to pick? There are loads of New Year's resolutions, from reading more to eating healthier to something you can make up entirely on your own. But the first thing you have to look at is you personally. You have to decide, what are the things in my life that I want to change for this new year or forever? What can make me a slightly better, more rounded person? And of course, realistically, no one can tell you that. You have to decide that for yourself. You have to look at yourself and decide, yeah, I think I'm going to go for this year. But to help you along, I have put some common New Year's resolutions into some categories. The first category is category 3. Now these are still good resolutions, but I've put them as not quite as important as 2 or 1. And in this category we have read more, travel more and live life to the fullest. Now for the last one I think that's just really wishy-washy and you have to have specific goals that are going to actually help you live your life to the fullest. But for travel more and read more, they're both really important things that can help you, but I think perhaps they're not the most important, because I know people that are really intelligent but don't read, or are really happy but don't travel, and I think it's down to the person. But there's always maybe something that you could work on before that, or just that you can, because traveling can be really expensive. Reading, some people just hate reading and it's fine. I don't think that you should feel that you have to do these things, and especially live life to the fullest. What does that even mean? Now next up I have category 2, which is the middle one, so obviously they're a little bit better than 3 in my opinion. These are all very subjective and you can pick whichever one you want, but category 2. In category 2 we have things like get organised, spend less money, learn a new skill / hobby, spend more time with family and friends, and finally, stop a bad habit like picking your nails or your nose or something like that. Now the reason I put these in here is I know you're thinking something like family is still very important. It is, but for some people they don't have a great relationship with their family and they shouldn't feel forced into doing this, and perhaps if their resolution is to spend more time with them but they don't enjoy it and it doesn't make them happy, maybe it wasn't the best decision. And obviously they could try and mend the relationship, but you have to kind of weigh out the things, and it's different for everyone, of course. But these things are all really important, but sometimes they're maybe not the most prominent, or maybe it wouldn't be the first thing you'd pick. Like getting organised is really good, but I'm not that organised as a person. My room is an absolute dump, but I'm still living, I'm still having fun, so in my opinion, maybe it's not the most important there is. And finally, we have category 1, which in my opinion, the most important ones. Now these are exercise more, go to the gym or runs, eat healthier, lose weight, and see a therapist. Now these are all very subjective, they're down to the person. And we'll start with lose weight. So obviously, if you're happy in your own body and you're still healthy, then you don't need to worry about it. But for some people, if they're a bit obese or they maybe have a bit too much weight, then maybe they want to lose weight. It might make them happier, make them more confident, and I think that can be a good thing. Eat healthier, as you can see by my other video, which I've released about now. Eating healthier really does have a big impact, like spots and just feeling good and losing weight and stuff like that. It really does help, and I do recommend it both for your mental and physical health. Now going to the gym, also again, obviously good for your physical health, that's the entire point, but it's also really good for your mental health, and it makes you feel better about yourself and all these things, and I think it releases endorphins, something, it makes you happier basically. And if you don't do any exercise, I recommend you do. Just try it out. If you don't like it, but I reckon you will. And finally, see a therapist. Now this isn't for everyone, I don't, but if you're someone that's struggling a little bit mentally or something like that, I think from what I've heard from people I know and people out there on the internet, seeing a therapist can really help you if you need to. And so I highly recommend that you do that if that's something that you think you'd benefit from, and just don't be afraid and go for it. So those are my categories. Obviously they're completely subjective and just my opinion, and they'll all be different for you, and if you want to pick one of the low ones, go for it. Good for you. None of them are bad, and there's tons that aren't on this list as well. But yeah, that is just what I think. And now on to the next bit of the video, how to keep them. Okay, the first thing you're going to need when you set your New Year's resolution is for it to be realistic. If I chose something like be able to jump 2 foot in the air, I can jump 2 foot in the air. If I said something like jumping 2 meters in the air, that would be a problem because I'm not very springy. Or if I said I'm going to run a marathon next week, that wouldn't be realistic. But if you said something like I want to gain 1 kilogram, from now to September. That's quite a long time. You could probably do it. You get what I'm saying. It has to be realistic and feasible within your life and what you do. And the next one is the one I've talked about a bit already. It has to be specific. So you make like a specific goal, like, okay, in 2 months, I want to be able to run 10K in an hour. And then after that, I want to be able to run it in 25 minutes, stuff like that. You want to make it very specific and goal orientated so that you can motivate yourself to go and complete these things, and you will be able to do it in no time. So like, remember I said get healthy? Well, that's not going to cut it, I'm afraid. It has to be something like, I want to lose 1 kilogram of weight within a certain amount of time, a period of time. So goal orientated, you could either have one big goal, like you want to be able to lift this certain amount of weight or run this fast or have lost this much weight by the end of the year, or you could split it up into lots of little goals of like, I want to lose this much weight and this much weight and this much weight, or you could do both. I think any of these are really good, but if you have the goals, it will really help you to motivate yourself and to go and do those specific things, and you'll see the progress as well, which will help you to continue doing it, which is very good. And next is the limit. If you want to go on a self-improvement spree and make yourself a whole better human, go for it. But if you do try and do too many New Year's resolutions, you probably get burnt out or just not find the time or the effort. So I would recommend picking 1 or 2, maybe not very many more than that, and that will help you improve your chances of completing them for at least the year. The next one is plan but be flexible. If you can do something like a workout plan for a workout, or a diet plan, or a plan for just the year, that's really good. But it's important to remember that sometimes things just don't work out, and you have to be a bit flexible and remember, okay, this is fine, and then pick yourself back up and go on. And from that, you have to remember that failures aren't permanent, and if you do fail once or twice, it's okay, and you can keep going and come back to it rather than get hooked on the failure and just stop, because that will ruin all of your progress, obviously. The next one is start small if needed. If you want to just cut out a bar of chocolate a week and not eat that, that's fine, as long as you're doing little steps to get towards your main goal. That's great. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be whatever you want to do, and just remember that if you're starting small and someone else is starting big, that's fine. You might get the same results anyway. And then speaking of failures, as we were a minute ago, don't repeat past failures. If you've tried to do a New Year's resolution before and you've just sort of winged it and gone for it, try not to do that again. Either do the same one and make a plan this time, or change it up, do something slightly different, because that way you won't just go down the exact same route and end up failing again, because you can learn from your failures, like Gary Vee says, constantly, all the time. Constantly, literally every second. Reward yourself. Remember when you do good and go through those little goals and be like, I did that, and then use these little rewards to motivate yourself and get to the next stage of your New Year's resolution plan. Learn and adapt. Now, I got this one off a website. I'm not entirely sure what it means, but I think it means like learn from your failures and adapt your plan or your New Year's resolution to this new thing. If you get a new job, adapt around it. If you can't do this thing, adapt around it. Learn and do it a different way, because that way you'll continue with your resolution. And the final one is an important thing to remember. There's no rule book. There is no New Year's resolution rule book, like a guy who comes along like a green suit and says, no, that's wrong, mate. You can't do that. You're not allowed. It's up to you. You can do it however your way is. Don't look at other people, and just remember, you can do it however you want, and that way, hopefully, you'll be able to continue doing it, and you'll do things that are suitable for your life, because there's no one else at the end of the day. It's just for you. And that is that. A rather different video to what I normally do, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was somewhat useful. I'm not sure if it was. I'll go through and edit it, and if you're seeing this, I'll presume it was. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful New Year, and let's hope it's better than 2021 and 2020. We'll find out. Thank you very much. I hope you're well.